and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Can I say something now? I think more Americans know about the midterms because of social media. I just don't think they give a shit. Honestly, I think they are so disaffected by the two choices, being shit or a shit sandwich. Vote for one or the other and you're going to choke on both, that they're just not coming out. That's the problem. I mean, I've faced that every time I have to vote. I'm like, what is the choice? Who can I vote for that the next day, depending on what the results are, I will feel that I voted for the candidate who reflects my values? Because right now, neither party reflects my values. And unfortunately, the third-party candidates that I feel do reflect my values, Medicare for all, a living wage, cancellation of student debt, lessening the wars, those third-party candidates don't have a shot in hell because they don't have the money. Because this is the corporate states of America, not the United States. And the corporations, Wall Street, pharmaceutical cartels have co-opted the Democratic Party. Simple as that.
And so we got this video from Case Study QB. Be sure to follow Case Study QB on Twitter. He's wrongly being censored and suppressed. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel or Odyssey page, please do so, because what Twitter is doing to his channel is wrong. So let's play this clip here. Yes, it's from Fox News. And I think I already went on a perfect tirade of how corporate media is an absolute failure on yesterday's show. But let's play this for our viewers and subscribers.
More embarrassment.
I thought this next topic was perfect. We talked about it yesterday. There's a New York Times piece from Nate Cohn. It says, yes, the polling warning signs are flashing again. Democrats are polling well in exactly the places where surveys missed most in 2020, 2 years ago. I just got about a minute left here. Kellyanne, you start. You read the piece. Are pollsters onto something, or are they still just bad?
I think that pollsters and chief political operatives like Nate Cohn of the New York Times are never held to account. There's no apology, no accountability for getting these races so wrong. And here's the problem, Bill. When you show erroneously Joe Biden winning Florida and he loses it, winning Wisconsin by 8 points and he barely wins Wisconsin, it depresses turnout. And right now it's depressed a lot of Republican donors away from some of these otherwise viable Senate candidates, like in Pennsylvania and Ohio, Georgia, Arizona, and elsewhere. These polls are wrong. I don't buy this stuff that it's impossible to fix polling. You have to make people feel comfortable. But this is why the polling's bad. They underrepresent the strength of the Trump voter and the number of the Trump voter, because we never deeply examine that which we deeply disdain. They have a president, vice president denigrating Trump voters. The pollsters who are pro-Biden are not going to figure out how to talk to Trump voters.
Mark, how do you see this? Do you see it similar as Kellyanne does?
Well, we had last time at the Harris poll the most accurate overall national poll, but I had state polls that I frankly threw away. I think in some of these highly charged Senate races with hundreds of millions spent, that the voters stopped answering polls correctly, and I think there are a lot of shy Republicans. So I think this is a factor. I don't know how big it is. It was there last time, and I think the Times article may have some truth. You got to watch your polls carefully for this effect.
Okay, good to have you both.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so first, number one, Fox News find Kellyanne Conway and so they can dig her up and have her join the world. And then number two, all right, no pun intended, was the sewage pipeline. But look,
Add one comment
Go ahead.
from the chat. Mohammed Morhadi says Kelly Conway is the midpoint between Smeagol and Gollum. Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, first, let's not put any Lord of the Rings characters with the failure that is anyone who's part of the Trump administration. But look, there's a big takeaway from this, and that is voter turnout, voter turnout, voter turnout. See, the thing is, what a lot of these politicians don't realize, or what they do realize, is that a lot of Americans are working, especially when it comes down to time to vote. There isn't a day off when you can turn out to vote. There's no incentive for Americans to vote. This is why I've said on the show, it's not really clear how the House and Senate will what it will look like after the midterms are done. I mean, it could be the Democrats could maintain a majority or get more seats, or we could see a red wave come in, or it's back to 50-50 in the middle. Democrats control the Senate or House respectively, Republicans, Senate, House respectively. So there you go. It's more than the same.
My magic 8 ball says on the Democrats, highly unlikely.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, look, let's look at any kind of major victory that the Democrats have. What do they have under their belt? Well, what, $10,000 in student debt forgiveness, all while ignoring the fact that there's interest that has to be paid off on student debt. Or let's talk about, anything with infrastructure. Not really, not enough. Roe v. Wade died under the Biden-Harris administration, and the Democrats, including senior leadership like Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein, who've been in power for so long, they've had decades and decades to do something to protect women's reproductive rights here in this country, and they haven't done so.
While pandering that they care.
Yes, and of course fundraising off of it too. Fundraising. They made millions upon millions of dollars of fundraising off that. But I want to pull up another video here, which again is showing the concerning decline of, the confidence that Democrats have in possibly winning the midterm. If they do pull it off, they'll be by the skin of their teeth. Let's play it.
And he attended a fundraiser while in the hub last night. Roughly 40 people attended, and the event raised $2 million for the DNC, which has now raised over $92 million so far this year. It's a midterm record $255 million this election cycle. The DNC is touting it as its best grassroots fundraising year ever. And it comes as Republicans continue to struggle to raise money, with Politico reporting that Republicans have actually lost donors through the first 6 months of the year compared to the end of 2021. Joining us now here on set, national political correspondent for Politico, my friend Meredith McGraw. Meredith, great to see you this morning. So we just went through it. Democrats raising a lot of money. A lot of questions right now about the Republican fundraising effort. Tim Scott, who heads the Senate campaign arm, in particular under scrutiny. How nervous is the GOP about what could be a significant fundraising disadvantage?
Well, we've seen real disparities between how Democrats and Republicans have been able to fundraise in this cycle. There's been a dip in small dollar donors, and we've seen that the former president has continued to be have a major role in Republican fundraising, and that's been a source of some frustration for Republicans, especially in some of these races where they feel not only behind in the polls but behind in fundraising, and the former president is sitting on a giant war chest of money that he still really hasn't doled out to some of these candidates that he supported.
So President Biden on the road yesterday in Boston, his campaign travel has really picked up here. Most stops, Democratic candidates embracing him, not all. He still depends where you are and what his poll numbers look like. But how important is it for the White House and Democrats to be able to point to things like the infrastructure bill, things like the reconciliation package?
Look, it's quite clear that Biden isn't really producing confidence amongst the Democratic establishment. How many times have we covered on this show on the fact that there are plenty of Democrats right now who want someone to run in 2024 that's not Biden? And again, the Democrats are thinking, and there's been some polling showing that Democrats could possibly recover in this midterm election cycle, maintain their slim majority, or maybe get some more seats potentially. But the X factor is the Biden-Harris administration. Millions of Americans right now are struggling day in, day out just to make ends meet. People are being evicted from their homes and apartments. Small businesses are being shut down. What infrastructure package do the Democrats really have to rely on? We need, at the bare minimum, $10 trillion invested into our infrastructure. We have crumbling bridges. We have the lack of clean, safe drinking water. Just earlier this week, I was covering how there's lead in Chicago's drinking water. There's contamination in Baltimore's water. There's poisoning in Arizona's water. There's lead still in Flint, Michigan's drinking water. And I could keep on going on and on about the numerous contaminants and poisons and metals.
You mentioned Missouri also.
Yes, and there's also happening in Jackson, Missouri, too. Nothing is really getting done. They're talking about infrastructure, but where's the package? Where's everything that's supposed to help out the American people? And the thing is,
Ukraine, Taiwan.
Oh, Ukraine, Taiwan, that's right. Again, money for war. And see, the thing is, voters see this. And for some reason, there's a lot of people on social media with the coveted blue check mark who say the Democrats are going to win. You have to trust us. And if you don't vote Democrat, then you're voting for fascism. Fascism!
And when we lose, it's going to be your fault.
Vote harder, you jagoffs. Daniel, vote harder. There you go. That was Daniel in the background. So I yelled at him to vote harder. Jerry, why don't you vote harder? Miguel H, vote harder. Gamer and Gonza for life, vote harder. Everyone in the live stream chat, vote harder. Extra Bola, vote harder. I see you in the live stream chat too. You better vote harder, or I'm going to get the Green Goblin on you. So there you go. So here's again. The truth is that a lot is hinging on the Democrats for this midterm election cycle. It's going to be the canary in the coal mine of how 2024 will play out. And the thing is, no matter how this election plays out, don't let anyone, be it on social media or in real life, come up to you, bully you, and say, "Oh, it's your fault because this party didn't get in," or we didn't get this amount of seats. At the end of the day, the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment are friends with each other. And the sooner, hopefully sooner, the more Americans wake up to this, voters wake up to this fact, maybe we could start changing things. This is why I'm all on board with building some kind of massive coalition movement that's not connected to Washington, D.C., that is not connected to these politicians, because anything that these politicians touch, be it Democrat or Republican, becomes contaminated, becomes corrupted. It's not going to do what it needs to do. Look what happened to Time's Up and Black Lives Matter. I mean, the Democrats touched that, and, well, they become, hollowed out husks of what they used to be.
I would... Would you wonder where that $2 million in Democratic fundraising came from? It certainly didn't come from the voters. It certainly didn't come from all those people you just mentioned who are struggling.
It came
across
from corporate donors.
That's exactly where it came
Corporate donors. See, the same people who own the Democratic Party also own the Republican Party.
But it's interesting that the fundraising is, the Democrats are leading in the fundraising. It seems those corporate interests want to put their chips on Biden and the Democrats as opposed to the Republicans. So I do find that a little bit interesting.
Also,
but they are also donating, because they want to hedge the bets across both parties. They always do.
Wow, and hold on, I think this might be the person from Chicago, but they're writing a 350 square foot studio on Lawrence and Kedzie went from $695 to $995 in rent in 4 months. Man, this is just getting nuts. Man, see, the thing is, a lot of these Democrats are saying, "We feel your pain. We're so sorry." But remember, AOC and Cori Bush had to run to stop Nancy Pelosi from adjourning Congress way back in 2021. And they did a little protest on the Capitol Hill. And, oh, wait, what happened? Oh, that's right. Nothing changed. Shout out again to Frank Analysis, who caught that video, saying, "Hey, we still have a problem." Frank Analysis, that video is a gem. Keep doing what you're doing. But let's play the rest of the video.
They have concrete achievements right now, and especially they might get good inflation news later today.
Yeah, the White House seems cautiously optimistic with the news that they might get today about inflation. And, the president has continued to talk about that. He's continued to talk about some of these legislative wins, abortion restrictions. And what they see are some, progressive gains in the economy and how things are doing. But at the same time, I think we're going to see Republicans really try to hammer them on the economy as well. The House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is going to be unveiling his own sort of commitment to America that's really going to focus on how Republicans want to hammer Democrats on the economy, on things like crime. And so I think we're just going to continue to see sort of them play out that divide.
So, Jerry, I want to get your final note on this one.
I mean, what we're railing about this like literally every other broadcast, the Democrats, okay? The fact that everything shows that, at least from my perspective, I think the midterms are going to be a complete disaster. And I think the issue with voter turnout has to do with too many people not feeling that their issues are being addressed. I don't think that this administration gives a shit about, the voters that they claim to be protecting, but they're not. This whole kabuki theater with what was it? The student debt cancellation of whatever minimal amount wasn't enough, and it's really not going to do much as far as interest later, as I understand it. Look, Democrats have gone Republican light. We don't have a left in this country, people. We have the right and we have the extreme right now, as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
I think, and I've said this before, I don't want to sound like, a broken record, but I think that Democrats right now are comprised of Republicans who are too embarrassed to be associated with the religious extremism in the Republican Conservative Party. They infiltrated the Democratic Party, so you've got basically Republican light and batshit crazy is our two choices right now.
I also want to add in something here, too. Folks, I understand a lot of you are burnt out by electoral politics. Now, in Illinois, I will be voting in the general election. Now, why am I doing this? I will be voting third party. I'll be voting for, if there's a green on the ballot, green. If it's an independent, yes. Dare I say it, hell, if there's no other choice there but a libertarian, I will throw my vote in there too.
And you'll get blamed for wasting your vote
Well,
because
yeah.
the system
Well,
is not
no,
allowing.
I've done it before.
I know,
and I'll keep on doing it.
And I'm not criticizing you for
Yeah,
it.
no, I know.
I'm saying is
I know.
that we get blamed for voting our conscience, voting for the candidates that reflect our values, because voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil.
Yeah.
But they throw that in your face that you're not pragmatic enough. Yeah. And these are the cards you're dealt. And this is who you got to choose from one of these two parties. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
How do we fucking topple this oligarchy of a two-headed serpent that's running things all? I mean, I don't know, kid.
If I had to describe the way I vote as a cartoon character, it's that episode of The Simpsons where Homer's guarding that pile of sugar, and Marge is telling him, "Hey, Homer, you need to let your guard down, take it easy." And he says, "Oh yeah," and he pulls out this British guy who's drinking tea and says, "Yes, I snuck in when you let your guard down, and I'll do it again." And that's whenever I have any liberal or conservative saying, "Oh, you're voting third party. Oh, you're just wasting your vote." Yeah, I'll do it again. I'll keep on doing it again and again and again.
No offense to all boomers, but I hear it from a lot of boomers who grew up during a generation that was different from ours, where they could afford a middle class house, where they had unions protecting them, where they had pensions, where they had a system built in that's been chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. I would opine from the Reagan administration forward into Bush, then Clinton, then Bush Jr. and Obama, who are, again, I think Republican light. So I think that, when we hear that we're not being pragmatic and we're being foolish for throwing away our votes by an older generation that unfortunately hasn't even, held the leadership through there.
I will push back because I've heard and spoke to plenty of boomers.
Not all boomers.
Who said, "Hey, either I'm not voting or I'll vote third party or independent." I've heard that from Gen Xers and millennials and Gen Z. Hey, listen, Gen Z, listen. I know the old saying, "Don't trust anyone over 30 or something or whatever," right?
I want to trust everybody, but I am tired of the finger wagging from some boomers, not all. And I'm not disparaging all boomers. I have some boomer friends, right? I mean, Jesus, I'm Gen X. I'm close to boomer, right? But I recognize, also as a Gen X person, I kind of came up during that transitionary period where what we've left young people today is obscene.
Right, and I just got to say, Gen Z, don't participate with the two-party system. They'll screw you over. Look what they've done to the previous generations. All of us need to work together to fight for that better future. And as a final note, vote blue no matter who. I'm going to vote third party. And as for all of you, I would say if you live in a ballot initiative state, participate in that. Vote third party if you want. But that's just a suggestion. I'm not going to tell you, go ahead and vote. I know plenty of you are burnt out by it. But I'm going to at least vote third party. And since Illinois is also a ballot initiative state, I will also be participating, voting for the good ballot initiatives in my state. So at the end of the day, if you don't want to help out the Democratic Party, Republican Party, at least give them the middle finger, which is something we approve of. So right there, DNC and RNC.